My wife filed for divorce after 6 years, saying I never supported her dreams, while I bankrolled every failed business idea she had. She demanded half of everything, including the company I built before we met. She even brought her new boyfriend to my office to discuss their partnership plans. What she didn't know, she had zero legal claim to my business. I'd documented every dollar she'd burned through, and the morning she expected settlement papers, she got something very different instead. What the lawyer told her in that meeting made her go completely silent. Before I tell you the complete story, I need your help with something. Hit that subscribe button below and drop a comment telling me where you're watching from. It helps more people find these stories. Now, let me tell you exactly what happened. My name is Marcus, I'm 31, and I spent 6 years married to someone I thought was my partner. Her name was Vanessa, and when we met, she was drowning in debt from 3 failed boutique stores. She had vision boards, business plans, and absolutely no money. She owed suppliers $45,000, had maxed credit cards totaling another $18,000, and was about to declare bankruptcy. Her credit score was 497. I remember that number because it came up when we tried to get an apartment together early on. I fell for her energy anyway. Her confidence. The way she talked about success made you believe it was inevitable. She had this way of describing her future empire that made you want to be part of it. So when things got serious, I made a decision that seemed romantic at the time. I helped her. Actually, helped isn't the right word. I paid off every single debt. All $63,000. Cleared it completely using my savings and a chunk of my company profits. Here's the truth that becomes important later. I'd started my software company 3 years before I met Vanessa. It was called Apex Solutions, and we specialized in custom database management for mid-size companies. When I met her, I had 12 employees and was pulling in about $800,000 in annual revenue. Not huge, but solid and growing. The company was 100% mine. I'd built it from nothing, working 18-hour days, sleeping in my office, eating ramen for months. But when Vanessa moved into my house, yes, my house, that I'd bought 2 years before meeting her, and started calling herself co-founder on social media, I didn't correct her. I thought it was harmless. I thought she was just excited to be part of something successful. She'd post photos from my office with captions like, "Building our empire," and "Co-founder life." I should have shut that down immediately. I didn't. For 6 years, Vanessa launched business after business while I worked 80-hour weeks keeping my actual company running. First, there was the wellness coaching program. She spent $8,000 on certification courses, another $3,000 on a website, $2,000 on business cards and marketing materials. She got 2 clients, made $500 total, and quit after 3 months because the market wasn't ready for her message. Then came the online jewelry store. I funded $12,000 in inventory, $4,000 for professional product photography, $3,000 for an e-commerce platform. She sold maybe $800 worth of products before abandoning it because the profit margins weren't worth her time. Next was a podcast about entrepreneurship. I bought her $5,000 in equipment, paid for a podcast editor at $500 per episode, funded ads on social media. After 20 episodes and 47 subscribers, she quit because the algorithm was against her. The consulting agency was my personal favorite disaster. She spent $15,000 on a business coach who taught her how to attract high-ticket clients. She created packages priced at $10,000 per month. She got exactly 0 clients. When I suggested maybe starting with lower prices to build a portfolio, she said I didn't understand premium positioning. Every single failure was funded by me while I ran my actual successful company. And here's what really hurt. She'd tell people that she was focusing on strategic planning for our company while building her own ventures on the side. People genuinely believed she was part of Apex Solutions. At networking events, she'd hand out business cards that said, "Vanessa Chen, co-founder, Apex Solutions." I have no idea when she had those made. Then 2 months ago, everything shifted in ways I didn't see coming. Vanessa joined some entrepreneur mastermind group that cost $3,000 per month. I paid for it, obviously. She started coming home late from networking events, talking about someone named Trevor who was revolutionizing real estate investment and operating at a level most people can't comprehend. She became obsessed with this group. Started using phrases like high vibration mindset and energetic alignment and abundance consciousness. She'd look at me while I was working on code at midnight and say things like, "You're so stuck in the grind mentality. Trevor says truly successful people work on their business, not in it. Trevor. Always Trevor. Trevor says this, Trevor does that. Trevor's real estate portfolio is worth millions. Trevor drives a Mercedes. Trevor only works 4 hours a day because he's built systems. I should have seen it coming. But I was busy running an actual business, managing actual clients, making actual money. I didn't have time to worry about some guru my wife was obsessed with. 3 weeks ago, she finally showed her cards. I came home from a client meeting in Denver. I'd been traveling for 3 days closing a $200,000 contract, to find Vanessa sitting at our kitchen table with papers spread out in front of her. Not just any papers. Divorce papers. Marcus, sit down. We need to talk. Her voice was cold, practiced, like she'd rehearsed this. I sat, confused. What's going on? I'm filing for divorce. This marriage isn't serving my growth anymore. She said it like she was reading from a script. Probably one Trevor had given her. What are you talking about? What's wrong? Nothing's wrong. I've just outgrown this relationship. I need to be with someone who's at my level, someone who understands real ambition. She paused, and I swear she was savoring the moment. I've met someone. His name is Trevor. He runs a real estate investment firm, and he's shown me what actual success looks like. I sat there processing. My wife of 6 years was leaving me for her mastermind guru. The woman I'd pulled out of bankruptcy was calling me unambitious. Also, she continued, sliding papers across the table, I've had my lawyer draw up the asset division. I'll be taking my half of the company. My lawyer says I'm entitled to 50% as your spouse and business partner. According to the valuation Trevor helped me calculate, Apex Solutions is worth about $2.2 million now. So my half comes to $1.1 million. I'll take it as a lump sum, and we can both move on with our lives. I couldn't speak. This woman genuinely thought she owned half my company. The company I'd built before I even knew she existed. The company she'd never worked for, never invested in, never contributed to. There's also the house, she continued, checking her notes. We'll need to sell it and split the proceeds. Trevor's found us a great property downtown that's much better suited for our lifestyle. Our lifestyle. She and Trevor. In a house bought with money from my company that she thought she owned half of. Oh, and I'll need to keep using the office for a few more weeks while Trevor and I finalize our business plan. We're launching a high-ticket coaching program for entrepreneurs who are ready to level up, and your conference room is perfect for hosting our initial client sessions. My office. My conference room that I paid for. To launch a business with her boyfriend. Using my furniture, my Wi-Fi, my address for credibility. When are you moving out? I finally managed to ask. She looked genuinely confused. I'm not moving out. This is my house too. You'll need to find somewhere else to stay. Trevor's place is only 2 bedrooms, and it makes more sense for you to relocate since I need the space for my business operations. Plus, I'm planning some renovations. I want to convert your home office into a content creation studio. That's when I understood. She genuinely believed she owned half of everything. The company, the house, the cars, even my home office. 6 years of me paying every single bill while she played entrepreneur had somehow convinced her that my success was our success, that my assets were our assets, that she'd earned half of everything by existing in proximity to it. I stood up slowly. I need to think about this. Of course. Take your time. My lawyer says we can finalize everything within 60 days if we're both cooperative. She actually smiled. This doesn't have to be ugly, Marcus. We can be mature about this. I went to my home office, locked the door, and made 3 phone calls that would change everything. The first was to my lawyer, David, who I'd used for business contracts. David, my wife just served me with divorce papers and she thinks she owns half my company. Does she? No. I started it 3 years before we met. She's never been an employee, never had equity, never signed anything. Then she owns 0% of it. That's separate property. Easy case. She's also claiming half the house. When did you buy it? 2 years before we met. My name only on the deed. Also separate property. Marcus, this is straightforward. Your wife has no legal claim to anything you owned before marriage or earned through your separate business. Has she worked at all during your marriage? She's tried starting businesses. All of them failed. I funded everything. How much have you spent on her ventures? I did quick math in my head. Probably $85,000 over 6 years. Maybe more. Jesus. Okay, well that money's gone, you can't get gifts back. But she has no claim to your assets. She might get some spousal support, but that's it. The second call was to my accountant. Rachel, I need you to prepare a complete financial breakdown of my business and personal assets. Everything. Dating back 7 years. What's going on? Divorce. My wife thinks she's entitled to half my company. Rachel actually laughed. The company you started before you met her? Good luck to her. I'll have everything ready by tomorrow. The third call was to my head of security at Apex Solutions. Mike, I need you to revoke all building access for Vanessa Chen, effective immediately. If she shows up, she doesn't get past the lobby. Is everything okay? She's bringing her boyfriend to the office to host business meetings. In my conference room. I need it stopped. Consider it done. Then I sat back and thought about my next move. I could confront Vanessa immediately, blow up her delusions, and watch everything explode. Or I could let her keep thinking she was winning, let her get comfortable, let her make mistakes. My lawyer had said it, easy case. So why rush? Why not let her hang herself? I decided to wait and watch. And what I watched over the next week was absolutely insane. Vanessa started acting like she already owned half my company and was just waiting for the paperwork to formalize it. She'd make comments at dinner about how she was planning to use her share of the settlement. I'm thinking maybe I'll invest $500,000 in Trevor's new development project, she said casually while I was eating pasta I'd cooked. The returns he's projecting are incredible. She started bringing Trevor around more openly. The first time I met him, he showed up at my house, wearing a designer suit and driving a leased Mercedes. He had that specific kind of confidence that comes from separating rich people from their money. Marcus, great to finally meet you, man. He shook my hand with that aggressive grip guys like him use. Vanessa's told me so much about you. Really impressive what you've built with Apex. I've actually been looking at your client list. I think there's some synergy opportunities we should explore. My client list. He'd been looking at my client list. Which meant Vanessa had given him access to confidential business information. Synergy opportunities? I said carefully. Yeah, man. Real estate and tech, right? Your clients need office space, I've got office space. We could set up a referral arrangement, maybe even merge our operations down the line. He said it so casually, like he was already part of my business. I'll think about it, I said, making mental notes of everything. Over the next few days, Trevor became a fixture at my house. He'd show up for business meetings with Vanessa in my living room. They'd spread papers all over my coffee table, business plans, financial projections, marketing strategies for their coaching program. They were literally building their business using my furniture, my electricity, my Wi-Fi, planning to fund it with money they thought they'd get from my divorce settlement. Then Vanessa crossed a line I didn't even know existed. I was at the office on a Tuesday afternoon when my sales director, Jennifer, knocked on my door looking uncomfortable. Marcus, can I talk to you about something weird? What's up? I got an email this morning from Vanessa. She introduced herself as co-owner and said she's launching a new consulting division. She asked if I wanted to be part of her team when the company restructures. Jennifer pulled up the email on her phone. She's sending these to the whole staff. I read the email. It was professionally written, probably by Trevor, and it painted a picture of Vanessa as my business partner who was expanding into a new division. It talked about exciting changes coming and new opportunities for growth-minded team members. It was recruiting. She was trying to poach my employees before the divorce was even filed. That wasn't all. Jennifer showed me another email Vanessa had sent to one of my biggest clients, Data Tech Industries. Dear Data Tech team, it read. As co-owner of Apex Solutions, I wanted to personally introduce myself and my new venture. My partner Trevor and I are launching an executive coaching program specifically designed for tech companies like yours. I'd love to discuss how we can add even more value to our partnership. Would you be available for coffee this week? She was using my client relationships to build her boyfriend's business. Using my reputation, my company's credibility, my years of work. That's when I stopped playing nice and started playing chess. I called an emergency all-staff meeting at Apex Solutions for the next morning. Vanessa wasn't invited, but I knew she'd show up anyway. She'd been treating my office like her personal workspace for weeks. Sure enough, when I walked into the conference room at 9 a.m., there was Vanessa, sitting in my chair at the head of the table. Trevor was next to her, laptop open, looking like he belonged there. My 12 employees were scattered around the table looking confused. Thanks for coming everyone, I started. I need to address some confusion that's been spreading. Some of you have received emails from Vanessa claiming to be co-owner of this company. I need to be crystal clear, that is false. Vanessa has never been an employee of Apex Solutions. She has never been a shareholder. She has zero ownership stake in this company. She has no authority to speak on behalf of this business, to recruit staff, or to contact clients. Vanessa's face went from confident to red to pale in about 5 seconds. Marcus, what are you doing? We talked about this. We never talked about you claiming ownership of my company. We never talked about you recruiting my employees. We never talked about you pitching your boyfriend's business to my clients using my company's credibility. Trevor stood up, trying to look intimidating. Hold on, man. Vanessa's been working on this business for years. No, she hasn't. She's never worked here. Not one day. She has visited this office as my guest, and she has violated that privilege by misrepresenting herself and attempting to interfere with business operations. I turned to my head of security. Mike, please escort Vanessa and Trevor out of the building. They're no longer authorized to be here. Vanessa stood up fast, her chair scraping the floor. You can't do this. This is my company too. It's not. It never has been. I have the incorporation documents, the business licenses, the tax returns, all showing sole ownership. You have Instagram posts where you called yourself co-founder. Those don't count. Trevor tried a different approach, going for reasonable. Look, Marcus, I think there's been a misunderstanding. Vanessa's been supporting your business behind the scenes for years. She's been handling admin work, managing your schedule, doing all the invisible labor that makes success possible. That creates a legal claim. She hasn't managed my schedule. I have an assistant who does that. She hasn't handled admin work. I have an operations manager for that. She hasn't contributed to this business in any measurable way, and making up contributions after the fact doesn't create ownership. Mike approached them. Sir, ma'am, I need you to leave. Vanessa looked around the room at my employees, probably hoping someone would defend her. No one said a word. They all knew the truth. They'd seen me here at 6 a.m. and midnight, they'd watched me build this business, they knew Vanessa only showed up for holiday parties. This isn't over, Vanessa hissed as Mike guided them toward the door. My lawyer is going to destroy you. You're going to regret this. Trevor turned back, pointing at me. You're making a huge mistake, man. Huge. Vanessa's entitled to half of everything, and when the judge hears how you've treated her, the judge is going to hear facts. That I started this company 3 years before I met her. That she has zero documentation showing ownership. That she's never been paid by this company. That she's been living off its profits while contributing nothing. I kept my voice level. Those are facts. Your feelings about what's fair don't matter. They left, Vanessa screaming threats the whole way. Once they were gone, I addressed my team. I apologize for that scene. My personal life is bleeding into professional space, and that's not acceptable. But I want everyone to know, Apex Solutions is stable, secure, and 100% my company. There will be no restructuring, no new divisions, no changes to how we operate. If anyone receives further communication from Vanessa claiming otherwise, forward it to me immediately. After the meeting, Jennifer stayed back. Marcus, I'm sorry. We didn't know what to believe when those emails came through. It's fine. She was convincing. That's what she does. For what it's worth, we all knew she didn't really work here. We just didn't know how to say it without being rude. I got back to my office and found 17 missed calls from Vanessa. Then the text started, "How dare you humiliate me like that? You made me look like an idiot in front of your employees." My employees too. I helped build that company. Everyone knows I was there from the beginning. You're rewriting history and it's disgusting. I didn't respond. Instead, I drove home early, something I never did. I wanted to see what would happen when Vanessa got back to the house. She arrived at 3 p.m., car tires screeching in the driveway. She tried her key in the front door. It didn't work. Tried again. Still didn't work. That's when she realized I'd changed the locks while she was gone. She started pounding on the door. Marcus, open this door right now. This is my house. I opened it, blocking the entrance. This is my house. My name on the deed. I bought it before we met. You've never paid a mortgage payment, a property tax bill, or a utility bill. I've lived here for 6 years. I have rights. You're not a tenant, you've never paid rent. You're not an owner, your name isn't on the deed. You were my spouse living in my house. Now you're my soon-to-be ex-spouse who's no longer welcome here. Trevor's Mercedes pulled up. Of course he was here. He got out, trying to look authoritative. Marcus, this is illegal. You can't lock your wife out of her home. It's not her home. Feel free to call the police. I have all the documentation. Vanessa pulled out her phone. Fine. I'm calling them right now. Please do. She did. 2 officers showed up 20 minutes later. I showed them the deed with my name only, the purchase date of 2 years before my marriage, the divorce filing. They looked at Vanessa. Ma'am, this isn't your property. The owner is asking you to leave. But I've been living here. I have belongings inside. You can arrange a time to collect your belongings, but you can't force entry. You'll need to work that out in your divorce proceedings. One officer took me aside. Sir, I'd recommend letting her get her essential items today just to avoid another call. We see this a lot in divorces, it's better to get it over with. I agreed. You have 1 hour to pack essentials. Personal items only. I'll be watching. Vanessa stormed inside, Trevor following her. For an hour, I watched them load suitcases into Trevor's car. Clothes, shoes, makeup, her laptop. She kept trying to grab things that weren't hers, expensive kitchen appliances I'd bought, electronics, even some of my business files from my home office. "That's my coffee maker," I said when she tried to pack a $600 Marzocco machine. "I use it every day. I bought it. It stays." "You're being petty." "I'm protecting my property. Just like I'm protecting my company, my house, and my future from someone who thinks proximity equals ownership." When the hour was up, I walked them to the door. Vanessa turned back, and I saw something in her face I hadn't seen before: fear. Real fear. She was starting to understand that maybe, just maybe, she didn't have the leverage she thought she had. "Marcus, please. Can we talk about this reasonably? Without lawyers, without all this drama." "You brought the drama. You filed for divorce, demanded half my company, tried to recruit my employees, and pitched your boyfriend's business to my clients. All of that was your choice. I made mistakes. I was listening to bad advice. We can fix this." "No, we can't. The only thing left to fix is the legal formality of ending a marriage that ended the moment you decided my success was yours to claim." They left. I closed the door, locked it, and stood in my own house, my own quiet house, for the first time in 6 years without Vanessa's voice filling the space. Then my phone rang. My lawyer. "Marcus, I just got a very aggressive call from Vanessa's attorney. He's threatening to file an emergency motion claiming you've illegally locked her out and stolen marital assets." "Can he win?" "No. But he can make noise. I need you to document everything. Every asset you owned before marriage, every business record, every bill you've paid. I want this so airtight that when we walk into court, the judge laughs her attorney out of the room." We spent the next 2 weeks building a case that was less like a legal defense and more like a detailed autopsy of our marriage. My accountant provided business records showing I'd started Apex Solutions 3 years before meeting Vanessa. Bank statements showing I'd paid every mortgage payment, every utility bill, every car payment for 6 years. Credit card records showing the $85,000 plus I'd spent funding her failed businesses. My lawyer even found social media posts where Vanessa herself had referred to Marcus's company and Marcus's house in the early years, before she'd started claiming co-ownership. Screenshots of her admitting she didn't work, that she was focusing on her business ventures while I handled the finances. But the most damaging evidence came from an unexpected source: Trevor. One of my employees, Sarah, had a connection to someone in Trevor's real estate circle. She forwarded me an email thread where Trevor was bragging about his plan. "I'm dating this woman whose husband has a $2 million software company," he'd written. "She thinks she's entitled to half in the divorce. Once that money comes through, we're launching the coaching business and I'm cutting her loose. Easy payday." Trevor had been planning to scam Vanessa all along. She was just too blind to see it. I forwarded that email to my lawyer with a note: "Do with this what you will." The first divorce hearing was scheduled for 3 weeks after I'd changed the locks. I showed up with David and a box of documents. Vanessa showed up with her attorney, a guy named Richard who looked like he'd promised her the moon and planned to charge her for every star. The judge, a woman in her 60s named Judge Patricia Morrison, looked tired before we even started. Richard went first. "Your Honor, my client was illegally locked out of her marital home without warning. She's been denied access to marital assets and has had her reputation destroyed by her husband's actions at his place of business where she served as an informal co-founder." Judge Morrison held up a hand. "Informal co-founder? What does that mean?" "My client contributed significantly to the business's success through administrative support, networking, and strategic planning." "Was she employed by the business?" "Not formally, but..." "Was she paid?" "No, but her contributions." "Did she have equity?" "Your Honor, community property laws." "Answer the question. Did she have equity in the business?" Richard shuffled his papers. "Not formally documented, but..." "The answer is no." Judge Morrison looked at me. "Mr. Chen, when did you start this business?" 3 years before I met Vanessa, Your Honor." "Do you have documentation of that?" David handed over the incorporation papers, business license, first tax return. Judge Morrison reviewed them carefully. "Ms. Chen," she addressed Vanessa directly. "Did you invest any capital in your husband's business?" Vanessa looked at her lawyer, who nodded. "I invested time and energy and emotional support." "Did you invest money?" "Yes or no?" "No, but..." "Did you work for the business in any capacity?" "I helped behind the scenes." "That's not what I asked." "Were you an employee?" "No." "Do you have any documentation showing ownership stake?" "I have social media posts where I called myself co-founder." Social media posts aren't legal documents, Ms. Chen. Judge Morrison looked back at Richard. Counsel, your client has no claim to this business. It's separate property. Move on. Richard tried a different angle. The house, Your Honor. My client has been living there for 6 years. When was the house purchased? David handed over more papers. 2 years before Mr. Chen met Ms. Chen, Your Honor. His name only on the deed. All mortgage payments, insurance, taxes, and utilities paid solely from his accounts. Judge Morrison reviewed those documents too. Ms. Chen, did you contribute to the mortgage payments? I maintained the home. Did you pay money toward the mortgage? Yes or no? Vanessa's face was red. No. Did you pay property taxes? No. Did you pay for insurance or utilities? No, but I shouldn't have had to. I was building my own businesses. Wrong answer. Judge Morrison's expression hardened. Ms. Chen, while you were building your businesses, who paid for your living expenses? Marcus did, but... And how much income did your businesses generate during your marriage? Vanessa hesitated. Richard whispered something to her. Finally, they were in the growth phase. They didn't generate significant revenue yet. How much revenue? Maybe $2,000 total. Over 6 years? Yes. And Mr. Chen funded these ventures? He supported my dreams, yes. Judge Morrison looked at the documents David had provided. According to these records, Mr. Chen spent $87,000 funding your business ventures. Is that accurate? Vanessa looked stunned. I don't know the exact amount. But it's in that range? Maybe. So let me make sure I understand. You earned $2,000 over 6 years while your husband spent $87,000 funding your ventures and paid 100% of all household expenses. And now you believe you're entitled to half his company and half his house. I provided emotional support. I was his partner. Marriage partnerships don't create business ownership, Ms. Chen. If they did, every divorce would involve business dissolution. Judge Morrison looked at both lawyers. Here's my preliminary ruling. The business is Mr. Chen's separate property with no claim from Ms. Chen. The house is Mr. Chen's separate property with no claim from Ms. Chen. The vehicles are registered in Mr. Chen's name and are his separate property. What we need to determine is appropriate spousal support, if any. Vanessa burst out, this isn't fair. I gave up 6 years of my life. You gave up 6 years during which your husband paid all your expenses and funded your business attempts. That's not sacrifice, Ms. Chen. That's support. Support that's about to end. The hearing wrapped with a date set for final proceedings in 30 days. As we left the courthouse, Vanessa tried to approach me in the hallway. Trevor was there too, looking significantly less confident than before. Marcus, that judge is biased. This isn't over. It is over. You have no claim to anything, and you know it now. Trevor stepped forward. Look, man, maybe we got off on the wrong foot. What if we just settled this privately? Vanessa drops her claims, you give her, say, $200,000 to help her get started, and we all move on. I almost laughed. You want me to pay $200,000 to end claims that have zero legal merit? It's cheaper than dragging this out in court. It's $200,000 more than she deserves. The answer is no. You're being unreasonable. I'm being rational. There's a difference. As I walked away, I heard Trevor and Vanessa arguing. His tone had shifted from supportive to irritated. I didn't stick around to hear more, but I didn't need to. That relationship was already over, they just didn't know it yet. Over the next month, things got bizarre. Vanessa started a GoFundMe page titled, Help Me Escape Financial Abuse. The description was a masterpiece of fiction. My husband of 6 years built a successful business with my help, then filed for divorce and took everything. I'm left with nothing after years of supporting his dreams. I need help getting back on my feet. The page raised $1,200 before someone who knew the real story reported it for fraud. It got taken down within 48 hours. Then Vanessa tried approaching my clients directly. She sent emails to 3 of my biggest accounts, claiming I'd stolen her portion of Apex Solutions and suggesting they work with her new coaching business instead. All 3 forwarded her emails to me. One client, the CEO of Datatech, called me personally. Marcus, what the hell is going on? Your wife, ex-wife, is emailing us claiming you stole her company. She's not handling the divorce well. I apologize for any confusion. To be clear, Apex Solutions is and always has been solely my company. She's never been an employee or owner. That's what I figured, but damn. This is messy. It is. I'm handling it legally. If you receive any more contact from her, just ignore it. Will do. And Marcus? Might want to handle this fast. This kind of drama can affect client confidence. He was right. I called my lawyer. David, she's contacting my clients. This needs to end. We're at the final hearing in 2 weeks. Just hold on. She's digging her own grave. The final hearing was everything I'd hoped for. Judge Morrison had reviewed all the evidence, including the emails Vanessa had sent to my clients and the GoFundMe page screenshots my lawyer had preserved. Ms. Chen, the judge started, since our last hearing, I've reviewed additional material that concerns me greatly. You've been contacting your husband's business clients misrepresenting yourself as a business owner. You've started a crowdfunding campaign claiming financial abuse. You've made public statements that directly contradict the evidence in this case. Do you have any explanation? Vanessa's new lawyer, she'd fired Richard, stood up. Your Honor, my client was following advice from her previous counsel. Don't blame the previous attorney. Ms. Chen is an adult who made choices. Bad choices. Judge Morrison looked at the documents in front of her. Here's my final ruling, all business assets remain with Mr. Chen as separate property. The house and vehicles remain with Mr. Chen as separate property. Given the short marriage length, Ms. Chen's age and education level, and her demonstrated ability to work, I'm awarding limited spousal support of $1,500 per month for 24 months. That's it. Vanessa stood up. That's not enough. How am I supposed to live on $1,500 a month? The same way millions of people do, by working. You have a college degree. You're 34 years old. You're capable of employment. Judge Morrison's patience was clearly exhausted. Ms. Chen, you spent 6 years attempting to build businesses that failed. That's not your husband's fault. He supported you generously, too generously, in my opinion. Now it's time for you to support yourself. This is discrimination. You're punishing me for being an entrepreneur. I'm holding you accountable for your choices. You chose to not work. You chose to pursue ventures that didn't generate income. You chose to live off your husband's earnings. Those were your choices, and they have consequences. The gavel came down. Divorce finalized. Vanessa got $36,000 total in spousal support spread over 2 years. I kept everything I'd worked for. As we left the courthouse for the final time, Vanessa was crying. Trevor was nowhere to be seen. I'd heard from Sarah that he'd dumped her once it became clear there was no payout coming. Vanessa tried one last time as I reached my car. Marcus, please. I know I made mistakes. I know I listened to the wrong people. But I have nowhere to go. I have no money. Can you just help me one more time? I turned to face her. Vanessa, I helped you for 6 years. I paid off your debts. I funded your businesses. I gave you a home, paid every bill, and asked for nothing in return except honesty and partnership. You responded by trying to steal my company, poach my clients, and claim credit for work you never did. You made your choices. Now live with them. I'll be homeless. No, you won't. You'll do what everyone else does, get a job, find a place you can afford, and build a life based on reality instead of delusion. You're 34, healthy, educated. You can work. You just don't want to. I'm an entrepreneur. No, you're someone who plays at entrepreneurship while others pay your bills. There's a difference. I open my car door. Goodbye, Vanessa. I genuinely hope you figure out how to support yourself. But that's not my problem anymore. I drove away and never looked back. That was 8 months ago. I heard through mutual friends that Vanessa is working at a marketing agency now, making decent money, living in a studio apartment. She apparently deleted all her social media where she'd called herself a co-founder and entrepreneur. Some people say she still tells people she was forced out of her own company, but most people who know the truth just ignore it. Trevor? He moved on to his next mark, some woman who inherited money from her grandmother. I'm sure that'll end well for her. As for me? Apex Solutions is doing better than ever. I hired 3 new developers, landed 2 major contracts, and we're on track to hit $3 million in revenue this year. I'm dating someone who's a project manager at a tech company, who has her own career and her own apartment and her own life. When we go to dinner, she insists on splitting the check. When I offered to pay off her student loans as a nice gesture, she laughed and said, "Absolutely not, I took out those loans, I'll pay them off." That's what partnership looks like. Not someone claiming credit for your work. Not someone demanding half of what they never built. But someone who shows up with their own success and respects yours. The $87,000 I spent on Vanessa's ventures? I consider it the cost of learning the most valuable lesson of my life. Supporting someone's dreams and enabling their delusions are 2 different things. One is love. The other is self-destruction. Vanessa wanted half of everything I'd built. Instead, she got exactly what she'd earned, $36,000 and a reality check. Sometimes the best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's just the truth, laid out in a courtroom, spoken by a judge, and recorded in legal documents that can never be rewritten by social media posts or selective memory. She wanted my empire. She got a studio apartment and an entry-level job. And honestly, that's exactly what she deserved. Not because I'm cruel, but because that's what reality looks like when you stop paying someone else to maintain your fantasy. If this story resonated with you, go ahead and hit that like button. Drop a comment telling me your story. I read every single one. And subscribe to this channel because I share stories like this every week about people discovering that reality has receipts. Thanks for sticking with me through this long one. See you in the next video.